Hey guys, it's Brandi. Today I'm going to be having a story time. And this story time is one that I debated, actually posting just because it was such a weird time for me. It did happen about a year and a half ago, so, I'm over it completely, and I'm in a happy relationship now. I'm in love. I've never, I'm good. I'm good. This is a story about one of the biggest fuckboys I've ever encountered. Ever. And the reason why I've been going so back and forth on this is just because of how it mentally fucked me up for like a good while. So let's just jump right into it. Back in 2014, I got hired at Yay! Around the time I got hired, this guy, let's call him Danny. Yes, this is his real name. So, hi Danny. Side note, I thought about not using his real name, but he's such a fucking asshole. I don't care. He's probably never gonna watch this, but just in case he happens to stumble across this video one day. Around the time I got hired, Danny got hired, and it was cool. He was a really nice guy, or so I thought, and he wasn't the most attractive guy. Like, he had the most amazing personality. So I was like, yeah, he's cute, because, when someone has a really good personality, they automatically become attractive to you. So me and Danny, we were both closers to the good closers, so they didn't really pair us up too often because they would put us with like a weaker closer. But every now and then we would work together, and when we did work together, it was awesome. We would hit it off very well. Like, every time he'd see me, he'd be like, hey Brandi, like, what's up, there she is. And then he would make like little jokes like, I get it, Brandi, you're in love with me, yada yada yada. And I never thought anything of it just because I was always like, whatever. But I did think he was cute, and I had like a little baby crush on him. And then one day I took him and one of my pregnant coworkers to a meeting at a different location. Me and him, we were sitting in the car, and my pregnant coworker was sitting inside because, she wanted to be inside or whatever. Me and him, we were just talking, and he asked me, do you have a boyfriend, Brandi? And weirdly that night I did have a date with this guy I met at a party, but I ended up not going because of the reason that happens. I'll let you guys, we will get there. But I was like, no, but I am going on this date. I don't really want to go, because I really didn't want to go, but I also was kind of like, yeah, I'm not really interested in this guy, hint hint. And I was like, oh, but do you have a girlfriend? And he was like, no, I've been single for a while. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I drove him back because my pregnant coworker decided, like, after she went home, but I was driving him back to the store, to our location, so he could finish working. We were walking after I parked, and he was like, oh, he was like, you shouldn't go on this date if you really don't want to. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's whatever. And then he was like, you want to go on a date with me, huh? Like, or something stupid like that. And I was like, don't be jealous, Danny. He was like, I know you're jealous. Like, he's like, I'd be honored to take you. And then he was like, let's go on a date then. And I was like, okay, like, fuck it, why not, let's do it. Though as we were walking, it was like a super romantic thing. We were walking and I wasn't paying attention. I was walking a little bit ahead of him, and then he grabbed my hand and then he pulled me in and he kissed me, and it was one of the most like moments I've ever had, because I've never had that happen to me before. 18-year-old Brandi was like, oh my god, like. And let me just make a disclaimer, I am not an easy person. I'm actually very prude, but I was just so like sprung on this kid. He was older than me a little bit, and I think that's what I was also into. I was like, oh yeah, he's older, even though he wasn't that much older, but still I was like, fuck, he's older. So we were texting the next day, and I was like, you should come over. I thought we were gonna have like a movie night. We were gonna hang out and shit like that. And then obviously we ended up hooking up, and he ended up spending the night because I didn't know he was going to, but he took a Lyft here and was like, I'm spending the night. I was like, okay. I snuck him out the next morning though. So yeah, then the next day I took him to work, or to like his second job or whatever, and it was a great time. I was sprung. I was like, he's the one. Looking back on it, this kid, he used me so much. I didn't find that out till about a week and a half later. The next day, or the next time I did see him at work, I was about to get off, and he was like, oh, are we going on our date? Because our manager asked me to take a shift, so I'm thinking of doing it. And I was like, that's kind of fucked up. You said we were gonna go like hang out or whatever. It took a lot of convincing for him to actually go out with me. I ended up buying him food. I don't know who bought the tickets. I think we might have bought our own tickets. or maybe he did, but I remember he would put all this bullshit into my head. He was like, oh yeah, I think you're pretty, you know, I've always thought you were beautiful, I do want to take you out on a real date, but right now I'm kind of broke, even though he worked like double what I did. Moving forward, I started noticing things about him that were odd. Like, he's the one that added me on Snapchat, but whenever I would Snapchat him, he would never Snapchat me back, and this was back when Snapchat had the best friends thing where you can see he had no best friends, and I was like, that's weird, why don't you? He was just like, oh, I don't like Snapchatting people, and I was like, okay, but you added me on Snapchat, but that's fine. He had an Instagram, but it wasn't updated for like 2 years, I think. He had a Facebook, but I didn't really look into that till a couple days later. But then he didn't have a Twitter. Like, his social media he never used, so he could always use the excuse, I haven't updated it in a while. This is where it got like weird though, because then a couple of days later he would come over every now and then and he would just sleep because he was always tired. My house was like a lot closer than his was, so he would just come and he'd sleep and then he'd leave. And we only hooked up like twice, I think, and only one time it was like actually like, oh my god, am I gonna have sex with him? I didn't. Let me just tell you that I did not. Thank God. Thank God. He was just a really sketchy person, and he was just like, oh, like, to be private. And then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna snoop on this guy, because I started to really catch feelings for him. As I was saying, he was just a very sketchy guy. He was like, something was off, and I had a feeling, so I looked him up on Facebook, and then I found his profile, and it said, in a relationship, and I was like, the fuck? So I looked more into it, and I found this girl. We'll call her Sriracha, okay? So Sriracha had more posts about him because he didn't have anything updated. It just said in a relationship, and then I just snooped through his like pictures and found this girl that he was in a lot of pictures with, like old pictures from like years ago, and I was like, okay. So I look on her thing, and it says in a relationship, and then there's her profile picture is a picture of them saying happy 4-year anniversary, and it was like maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks before we had hooked up. So I was like, what the fuck? So I confronted him about it, and he said, oh, me and her were still best friends. She left because, you know, she went to college in wherever it was, and we didn't want to break up, but because of the distance, we both didn't want to do long distance, so we ended it. But we're still really close, and I just haven't updated my status, and she can't get herself to. Such a fucking stupid excuse. But Brandi, who was naive and was like, I want him to be with me, believed him. Big mistake. Big mistake. So from that day that I confronted him, he started acting very, very weird. And then I finally one day was just like, hey, like, you said you liked me, you said you liked being around me, and now you're avoiding me. Like, he wasn't texting me back, he would barely talk to me at work, and I was just like, this was when I was already off of work, and he was just like, you know, I think we should just take it really slow because I might be moving soon. So he's like, I really need to focus on my jobs, and I want to be like get into college to play lacrosse. And I was just like, okay, that's fine. I was like, but do you ever want to even consider giving us a try? And he was just like, right now, we'll see where it goes, but we should also consider seeing other people. And at this point, I was just like, alright, fine, like, fuck you, that's fine. Like, he led me on. That's what he did, but I ended up talking about this whole situation after we kind of, like, were, like, done with it. I talked about it with one of my coworkers, because since we were working together, I didn't tell anybody, and I decided to tell her, and she was like, Brandi, he has a girlfriend. And I was like, I have a feeling, like, but where's the actual proof? Even though it was all over the fucking Facebook page. And she was just like, I saw him Snapchatting this girl named Sriracha, like, or she was Snapchatting him, there was hearts everywhere saying, baby, I miss you, da da da. And I was like, oh fuck no, because I then find out they've been together for 4 years. 4 years. This guy has been with this girl for 4 years, but decided, I'm gonna fuck around. And who knows how many other girls he's done this with. So I was like, hell no. First of all, he made me a side bitch, and I am not that. I am never that. I would never in my life, if I knew he had a girlfriend, I would never have even pursued him. And second of all, he's fucking with this poor girl. She's away at college and she's like in love with this kid. She's been with him for 4 years and she's waiting for him, letting her precious college years go to waste off of this fucking asshole. And I was just not having it. So I went on my friend's Facebook and I messaged her just to make sure. I was like, because I didn't want to message her as myself, just because I was like, maybe they aren't together, maybe he's not lying, you know. So I messaged her on my other coworker's account, and hey guys, sorry, camera died. Messaged this girl. She responded back. I told you on all my friends' accounts. She responded back saying, yes, I am still with him. Who are you? Like, why are you messaging me? Type thing. So I explained to her. I was like, so I just wanted to let you know what's been going on. So I basically told her everything that happened. She didn't believe me. She was like, oh, I'm actually talking to him on the phone right now. He says this isn't true. And I was like, look, I'm just telling you because I'm clearing my conscience. Because I did not want any part of this. If I knew he had a girlfriend, I wouldn't have wanted to, you know, pursue anything with him. She wasn't having it. She was like, I don't have time for this, like, leave me alone type thing. And I was like, fine, have a nice life. I feel fine because I'm like, I did the right thing. And then a day or two later, I messaged him too. I was like, call me, like, we need to talk about this. And then he didn't, so then that's when I was just like, fine, I'm gonna tell her. I told her my Facebook name, and then I messaged her myself, but the message never went through. So I think what might have happened was, I think Danny blocked me on her account, so I couldn't like contact her, which is smart on his part, I guess. And then this is where things get kind of fucking crazy. Mind you, we worked together. We had a shift together where I only worked with him for about 30 minutes, an hour. That night, me and one of my girlfriends, we were gonna go out and I was gonna fucking like party. I was so mentally like fucked up in the head. I was like, I cannot believe this. He played me so good because he treated me good, but then if you really think about it, he didn't. He used me, but in my mind, I was so infatuated with him. I was like, he's the fucking amazing guy, when he was the exact opposite. Once I clock out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go change in the bathroom, and my friend was waiting outside for me, and she called me on the phone, and I was like, okay, I'm going to change real quick, and then I'm gonna go out. And then Danny's washing dishes in the back, and he's like, we need to talk. And I was like, okay, so talk. And he was like, no, first of all, hang up the phone. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, no, talk. And he was like, no, if you want, you can have your conversation with your little friend, but after, we'll talk. He turned to me, he was like, you need to leave Sriracha alone. And I was like, excuse me? And he was like, I get it, you're obsessed with me, but you need to stop. You don't need to be bringing her into this because it has nothing to do with her. And I was like, actually, yeah, it kind of does, because you cheated on her. And he was like, no, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I just know that you're insane, and all you do is text me and call me and invite me over to your house, but you know, I never do anything with you. And I was just like, he straight up denied everything to me. And I was just like, motherfucker, I was there. What the fuck? I was just like, that's when I went fucking off. I was like, you're the biggest piece of shit. And I wish I recorded this so I could send it to her, but I didn't. You know, like voice memo it or something, just because I was like, you are the biggest piece of shit. And he was just like, yeah, because everyone thinks he's such an angel. And he was like, no, remember, I'm Danny with a halo. And he was fucking mocking me. He was like, you need to leave me alone, and you need to leave her alone. Like, you need to tell her you were lying, and you just like were mad at me and wanted to get back at me for something. And I was like, what the fuck do you mean? I wasn't even like hurt at that point. At that point, I was just like, this guy's a fucking dick. He is the definition of why so many people have trust issues. It's one thing to deny it to his girlfriend, like if he was like, no baby, like she's obsessed with me, but he was literally like, you know, me and her were laughing on the phone because of how obsessed you are with me. And he literally denied me to my face. I should have been hurt by that. I should have been by it, but I was livid. His girlfriend like even asked me details. She was like, oh, like, can you tell me what happened? And I told her, and then she decided, oh, you know, no, you're lying. And I wish, because I was angry at him, so I deleted his text messages, and I don't have my phone backed up. And plus I had gotten a new phone, so I got rid of my old phone, so all evidence of texts were deleted. And I didn't take any pictures of him because he didn't like pictures. I tweeted about him, and I sent her those tweets as proof, but she didn't believe those. I had text messages that I sent to my friends about him, but I didn't have any physical proof, like texts or pictures with him. Side note, advice to anybody who's dating someone and you start having like a feeling about them, or just in general, take pictures with them or of them. After all that happened, after we argued with each other, I was literally just like, fuck you, and I stormed out. I worked at, and then I worked at, and they were like a block radius from each other, so he would sometimes come visit me at work even, and I would like get him a smoothie or something, and we would like hold hands in the lobby, or we would just hang out at my work, you know. And there's so many people who saw us together, yet he still denied it. This guy was such a piece of shit, you guys. I wish this wasn't a true story, but it is. It just shows how shitty people can be. And I feel more bad for his girlfriend. I don't know if they're together to this day. She's convinced that he's the one, and he's not. He's a piece of shit. But karma got him, guys. His ass got fired like a week later for giving out free drinks. That was just like, karma is so fucking good. Okay, hey everyone. So my camera died. Officially can't finish the video the way I wanted to, but anyways, thank you guys for watching. Moral of the story is, go with your instinct. If you think someone's a fuckboy, they're probably a fuckboy. Don't be afraid to tell the person that they screwed you over with, because whatever. And yeah, thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up. Have you ever gone through a fuckboy story or a fuck girl story? Let me know. I want to know. Yeah, thank you for watching. It was nice talking to you guys, and I'm gonna have more story time soon, so please subscribe. Bye. Say bye.